Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Daily Trading Recap. It is the 18th of August, 2021, middle of the week, Wednesday, coming in hot. We are heating up in the crockpot kitchen, cooking in the crockpot. Man, we're just having a lot more action coming out today. It was pretty exciting. I literally, at the start of the morning, I saw the percentage movers going around, lots of different tickers up on the scanner, and my blood started pumping a little bit more. I had to force myself to calm down, to start breathing again, to reel everything in, not get too excited, not like a dog chasing all these cars in the highway type of thing. But did pretty well, and just exciting to see that we're getting a little bit of a step up. SPY having a rough day today, 1% down day. A little bit of a stutter step here actually too in the afternoon, but and that huge fade into the close here. We could see a little bit more of a sell-off. I could see, let's do a little bit wider of a time frame. So I could see it's coming down a little bit more, similar to, probably not as hard as this day, but I could see us having a little bit of a downtrend, maybe not breaking that 421 low, but I could foresee that in the near-term future. Still just absolutely ludicrous on the rise though. Who know where it go? I don't know. Do you know? Let me know. Some market internals on the day. Still pretty low dollar volume on the big exchanges. NASDAQ still below $200 billion volume. NYSE doing decently. OTC 2.4 billion, not too shabby. Still similar to what we've been seeing in the past. I had an overnight trade from yesterday, 2 short plays, and then some sketchy chasing on VRPX, and then 2 other longs that were pretty decent. So let's get into SESN. First off, this was an overnight I had coming off of, it was really between how well VRPX was holding from yesterday, and SESN was holding pretty decently well from yesterday, the same thing. Obviously that huge gap down day that I just showed, but it was kind of like it wasn't dying off. So this was just more of a speculative, hey, maybe for some whatever reason it just decides to come back to the upside today. So I bought in with like 50 shares. It was like an $80 position from one. I got a terrible fill, like 1.6. It did end up going 1.7 or so before the close of after hours, but then gap down today and not too much opportunity of spiking. So I just sold it for a little $5 loss or nothing. This is an American biotech, a huge float, 173 million float, reported short interest of 10%. I really don't even care, and I didn't even look at what the news was for this gap down. I was just totally playing speculative guess that how well it was holding, and the nice gap up from that day before. That was going to gap up today. So again, buying around this point, and then tough pre-market, especially how low it was below VWAP, and then was selling as it broke this 1.4 range there. No biggie, just speculative. And of course, I feel so stupid as I looked over to VRPX, my other debate on when I should have overnighted. It was touching a high of $39. What? Absolutely ludicrous, and it's so good to see these coming back in effect once again. Huge gap up on a daily. This was the huge mover yesterday, holding super well above VWAP in the after hours yesterday. Big gap up, big short squeeze to the upside. Borrows were like over $1 a share, I believe. Sometime in the pre-market, I looked at that through Trade Zero. So pretty ludicrous for the reserves on that one. Looked even pretty good for the dump. Just price action was chopping away, of course, right away in the first few minutes after the market opened bell. Then it was looking like it was going to dump, and then all the shorts that were jumping in on that VWAP fail got super squeezed, halt to the upside, and then halt to the downsides here on that selling that just completely wiped out any longs trying to play the chase like me. Again, such a stupid chase. And I sit here once again just kidding myself, believing the same type of thing that I got so lucky with during the hot 2020 market, in which we'd have these huge percentage movers, and then we would get this huge either morning spike, and then they continue on the rest of the day, and I would end up being profitable somewhat by just literally showing up to my computer, seeing whatever was up, and then buying pretty much right out of the way out of the market open. And that's such a bad habit, and I don't want to continue doing that. And this slower summer months is showing me, slapping me in the face, saying you can't do that anymore. And that's what I continue to do. I just get swept away, and I kid myself, convince myself that, oh, this thing's gonna go 50 today. You're gonna be stupid not to just at least get 2 shares in it, right? And then not only am I taking attention away from the other trades that I'm already in, but I'm losing money while doing it by chasing. And that's all this trade pattern was. I'd see it up. I literally top filled here like 32.10 as it was continuing up, chasing where everybody else is selling short. And then, of course, I dump here as I set a random arbitrary level, 27. I think as it broke $28. Again, no reason why I set that level specifically. It was just too much money that I wanted to bear. I didn't set any trade parameters beforehand, just stupid chasing. And then I convinced myself, oh, we're getting new breakout levels, here it comes. And then immediately forced to sell within pretty much the same candle at this point as it started to dump back down. Just stupid. Thanking myself that I just didn't go full crazy position size. It was 2 shares both ways. But even that is a waste of mental capital. Not even the capital itself, but the mental capital that I wasted on just degenerate, stupid trading. If I wanted to be in this just playing a huge short squeeze, I should be doing this from yesterday. Because if this thing comes back, it closed pretty weakly today, hard day under VWAP, how well it was selling off. But the degenerate play, what I'm really going for in this style of trading is just to bag hold it and think I'm waiting for this thing to go to 50 pretty much. And that's the point at which I should be taking these 1 share, 2 share trades and playing huge to the upside, because then the risk reward is so much better versus me thinking I'm going to scalp, $2 out of this? I would have been selling if we were getting close to that pre-market high day. I would have been taking off 1 share and then maybe 2 shares. Like, the risk reward is just so stupid on all of these, and I don't want to be that trader, and I have to stop doing these. But if I want to get degenerate and I want to continue to play these, that I think that's the strategy, the change up that I need, is to say, okay, if you want to get so degenerate and you want to trade these, you just want to satisfy the addiction, right? That's what I want to be. Then I can't be looking at it on a minute by minute basis, and I need to be willing to wait for the degenerate entry and wait for the degenerate exit. Just a stupid bag hold. That's what's got to be my meta with all of these. This one was insane. The total dollar volume today, 1.3 billion. It was at $1 billion volume by 12 Eastern time. So right here. So from here to here, that was some pre-market as well too. But from here to here was only $300 million volume compared to the whole rest of the day, where that was 3 times that, which is pretty ludicrous, and says something to why everybody is just pretty much abandoning in the afternoon session. There's just no trades to go on. Yes, you're making money here. Can call this kind of a double bottom, or it's bouncing out or whatever, but it's just mind numbing. And the mental capital, once again, has to have value, and that's what I need to realize in all of this. So SESN, okay, and then another long ENVB that I thought looked pretty decent. This one, pretty decent, had a little bit of a downtrending long-term chart, and we're in this little kind of dip by bounce area too, which wasn't the best checkmark box to this type of trade. And it's not the lowest float either. The 16 million float, it's not a high float, but it is a low enough float that got me intrigued when I saw this type of price action here, pushing past the after hours and high of day from that pretty decent percentage move yesterday. Not the hugest dollar volume mover, 23 million on the day. So I was getting an entry around, pull it up again, this point here, it's 50 shares again, $100 position size, looking for any craziness like this, and I got it. And I was selling, liquidating into, I thought I sold just before pre-market. I think that's a red candle. Yeah. 224, I was able to get 10%, just under 10%, would that be? 228. So just under 10% for half of that. And then, whoops. And so then was just willing to speculate again. Hey, I think it could go higher. It probably most likely will dump, but I'm willing to take that on. And then it was developing this 207 base here. A little bit of a failure to break that. Even though it was under VWAP, I was thinking, okay, this could be a good entry if shorts are now looking to get into this. They could get squeezed out trying to play on a break of here. So I bought another 25. Yeah, I thought I bought another 50. I guess I bought another 25 here. In this candle holding 210. And then it cracked. I set a stop under here. Just whatever. On to the next one. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, maybe. if it had more volume or there wasn't so many crazy movers on the day. This was another one that I was thinking similar to VRPX that, okay, it had this pre-market move. That's how VRPX moved the first day, where we get a nice clean spike into the open and then just goes berserk crazy, starts halting after the morning bell. That's really what I was looking for, and it didn't happen. So I guess that's when the trade kind of dissolved at that point. But it's whatever. Good experience on that one, and again, I think I made profit on that one. That was a 1% trade, made $1 on a 100 share position. So no biggie, more experience. Onto my short setups. BWAY. I told myself a while ago that I was going to stop doing these morning dump short setups because I just wasn't seeing them. They weren't working. And again, they just weren't popping up on my scanner. And then yesterday we got MDGS. We got a few more that have been popping up recently. So I took 2 of them. BWAY was looking really good. I loved the daily. Nice amount of overhead. The standalone volume day was also nice too, to get some attraction into it, trap in longs, which this did kind of become. It just became multiple long traps over and over and over again. Fundamentals on this one. It's an Israeli medical device company, checking the box there. It is a low float, like I mentioned, 7.4 million. Reported short interest under 1%. The news was FDA clears Brainwave's deep TMS system for decreasing anxiety symptoms in depressed patients. Again, whatever. So decent spike from a lackluster previous trading days here, and it was just failing to maintain VWAP and just continuing. VWAP was obviously an inflection point, failing off there, just a nice trend to the downside. Started off, knew I was not going to take a huge position size on it, but knew I wanted to take a decent size into it. So I think this first initial was like a $500, $600 position entry here, adding like 25 more shares at this point as it was peaking out a little bit, adding another 25 shares closer to the open as I was thinking, okay, this was pretty much it, and we were just going to get a nice sell-off potentially to the $8 level I was looking for as the main first profit target area. Got some squeezy action in the whole time as well too. I'm just preparing myself mentally to say, okay, this looks great. It's checking a lot of the boxes. It's not showing strength. The volume in the pre-market was not showcasing anything mysterious or sketchy as if it was holding price levels or there was just hidden buyers coming in. I was pretty confident in it, but the whole time that I was confident in it, I was telling myself, what are my risk levels? Because I'm not going to sit here and risk 10-2. I can't risk that high a day. That's just way too far, and that's totally degenerate. That's not the trading style that I want to push on this. That's not how much I'm willing to risk on this one. So the whole time, even before market open, I'm telling myself, okay, what am I going to do if this thing just starts spiking? Where's my key area? Am I going to say 9.4? Am I going to say maybe this 9.15? But I'm thinking, that's just not enough. So debating, and I didn't really have a clear picture in my head, which I don't recommend and I don't really want to do in the future, but I knew that with watching it and just being free enough and my monthly goal here of having fun, I knew I was just ready to take on whatever it was going to do. So fortunately, we kind of do get some spiking, and it forced me in that situation to say, hey, now you've kind of predicted your own future here. Now we get to go to work. Now you get to put your pants on and deal with the repercussions, or deal with what trading is in a sense. So had to take on a little bit of spiking. I wasn't getting emotional here at any point. Wasn't trying to force anything. Saw a nice rejection here at VWAP, which I thought was a great sign for the downside. That was going to be the rest of the day, this was going to be the only contender above VWAP, and that was the rejection. So I think another 25 shares here. That rounded out my full position size to 175 shares short at this point. And that put in a great risk level for me to say, okay, if this thing bounces all the way back off of that bottom, comes back with strength to break that level, then I definitely don't want to be in this trade. So I kind of lucked out with what the risk level was going to be. And then, of course, it comes to touch that 9.2 area. It was 9.15, but I set my order at 9.2, knowing that it was going to take a little bit of slippage. Kind of screwed myself a little bit because I could have saved myself a few cents, but I could have panicked so much harder in such a bigger squeeze. And I'm never going to X myself for being safer than sorry, not getting filled on that limit order and then screwing myself out and missing 12 more cents on You know, now I'm having to get filled at 9.3, 9.4. If the tape is speeding up and all this volume coming in as well too. So this one ended up being, it's a good thing. I didn't try to risk that high of day because I would eventually even got stopped out and screwed myself over too. So again, like I said, this was just multiple long traps, especially here as we broke this little range high, dumped here, but then still put in higher lows, reclaimed VWAP once again, shot more to the upside, tried to test VWAP, but just continue to push with strength. And then you get this nice perk above the pre-market high a day and slam to the downside. And that was the nail in the coffin the rest of the day. Frustrating to see once again, and I don't really know what to do on these. Time and time again, it's this same chart over and over again. That even on my losers, we just get this morning craziness, emotional spiking, but they still end up closing lower than my entry, and they still offer pretty much 10%. $8 is what I was looking for. It's just tough. I just got to keep the data on it, and saying to myself that even if I did set a risk level at high of day, then I still would have gotten screwed out on these. And some of these, maybe it does take setting a little bit higher of a risk level, but then again, what is my risk reward at that point? I'm looking for 15, 20% risk. Is that what this is for 10%? But the probability of it too, it's the hit rate that I'm trading on these. It's not necessarily the risk reward. So it's just catch-22 on all this. I don't really know. Other morning dump trade that I got into, SNGX. This was an awesome A+. Not really an A+, but an A trade. Daily was awesome. Nice downtrending. History a little bit of running, but not any sketchy, huge update volume days in a sense. Fundamentals, American Biotech, check number 1. 39 million float, check number 2. Reported short interest, 2%, doesn't really matter. News was positive preclinical data with multiple heat stable filovirus vaccine candidates. Over my head. Good though that it's, we always like this positive preclinical data news because I feel that that's a hot ticker for these morning dump charts. Was hesitant to pull the trigger because of just how it was remaining to chop around this VWAP, but I said screw it. If she dies, she dies, and that wasn't the full story, but that was just what I was heading. It was checking a lot of the boxes, and I can't sit here, especially with more and more of these working out once again in this month of August. I just had to take it. So that is not correct on those arrows. Okay, here we go. So then got short initially 600 shares on this one. This entry didn't really have to take too much upside against it. It actually got bought up pretty decently in that same candle, but it did end up fading, putting in newer lows, running away from VWAP pretty quickly, which was awesome to see, especially since BWAY wasn't totally dying in the pre-market as well too, giving me some amount of hope that these morning dumps have some weight working in this market. Failure to break VWAP, had a touch and then a sell-off. That was another short indicator for me too, so slapped on another 100 shares. I think I reserved 800 shares, but then only used 700. I do that a lot, and I don't really know why. I can get more if I need them. I don't know why I'm just wasting money on borrowing shares that I don't use. Nice V here too, reversal for that entry point, if you want to call it, initially off that spike. Covered at 10% from that first entry of $1. I think it was 102 was actually 10% from 114. Numbers. But covered at $1. I think I set it at 101 actually, so I would get hit and didn't have to deal with the whole dollar debacle. And then I think this was only 300 shares. I set it to half of my first entry in pre-market. I set that limit order, and then I was able to get more shares short, bigger position with that trade. So this was only 300 shares, and then I covered the rest, 400 shares at 9.5. Didn't get filled here at this point, but then got the shove back under. Of course, it goes lower, but I'm not going to nail it perfectly. I could have held. This was a decent base, even here, to sell this in better than 9.5. Taking the money when I can, not when I have to. It could have come up a little bit like this and done maybe a little bit more crazy things, return to VWAP in the market hours, but it's whatever. That was an awesome one. $100 win, 13% win, which is awesome on these ones. $18 borrowing fee, which is pretty high. And that's why I was more skeptical on SNGX than BWAY, because BWAY was pretty low. Only $8 borrow fee on a low float ticker, the 7.4 million float ticker. I was confused by that one a little bit. But that was a great win. Great confidence again in these morning dimps, so I'll continue to keep an eye on them. Other trades around the market, opportunities, AZRX dip and rip. Big move in the pre-market. The news was positive top-line data for phase 2, blah, 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 blah. Again, not necessarily a morning dump pattern because we get the move above and it's just holding here. And you could, I can't even short this to trade zero because it's a sub-dollar. But that does look like a 10% move there at least once a full VWAP crack comes in. Get some sketchiness out of the gate here. Chris was actually trading this one pretty well, buying off of this 70 level. Traded to 77. Easy 10% move there. Could have even held it a little bit longer if you were taking off shares and played it more to the upside at this pre-market high day break. Awesome move in the morning and then just forget it. Walk away. This thing just died and held under VWAP the whole rest of the day. But great morning move on that one. Float was 77 million, reported short interest of 3%. FULC, another Chris trade that I just want to mention. These are more of those kind of intra-daily type patterns that Monaco mentioned a few trading days ago, last week, a few weeks ago. These just been holding up more, and I need to start doing this more. I told myself a few days ago, actually, man, I should start keeping track of these. I got if any of these tickers pop up and they don't necessarily die off, like AZRX, SGOC, the same thing, similar type of thing that it could do. Alpha, of course, is running again these past 2 days. It's looking higher too. It's not even consolidating. It's just going on up. KXIN, similar type of thing that's holding really well. I got to keep an eye on these things. These types of trades could definitely be popping coming into the end of August here. I don't even, what's the next month? September. That could be the next trade to start smashing hard in this type of market. That one looks really good, actually. But back to FULC. Totally awesome trade. Just holding these levels well. You've got a nice base to base your trade off of, especially off of this day. And these are, of course, tough, too, because how do you know which day it's going to be? How do you know that it doesn't dump lower like this day or like this day even? If you get a long position and then it's just this hard sell-off into the close on this day, but still holds that level, you're still negative at this point, and then what if it puts in a lower? It's just tough on those ones, but you can definitely see you just maybe starting small, you start sizing in more as it more technical levels become available, more days or data becomes available. If it doesn't die off, if it doesn't produce that bearish signal, pretty soon it's got to turn into a bullish signal at some point. Awesome opportunity on that. PMCB was another mover. Glad I got that ticker right. I've literally been typing in pretty much every single other iteration of VXRP, VRPX that you could possibly type in. I don't know how many combinations that is, but I've typed in pretty much every single one of them. I'm not even dyslexic. It's just so stupid. PMCB. This one also another huge dollar volume mover on the day. Huge percentage move too, 189% on the day. Still moving decently right away in the after hours, but $1.7 billion in total. This one also a billion by 12 by noon Eastern time right here. That's kind of ludicrous to see. Even this price action coming out of, that was 700 million. Okay, I'll give you that, 700 million coming after noon hours here. But just crazy to see that pretty much all that dollar volume is located right away in the morning, and everybody else is saying sayonara during the afternoon session. This one also touched 900,000 trades, just under 1 million trades. Not seen a big trader like that in a while, too. This one, again, same thing, that it could just VRP exit. This one doesn't have a lot of history. I don't know if this is IPO or just recent. It uplisted to the NASDAQ from, I don't know where. HC Wainwright, baby! But this one, again, could get VRPXy. I'm pretty sure everybody else and their grandma is saying the same thing, that they're all getting along for the afternoon or the after hours into tomorrow. This thing could be at $3,000 by tomorrow. Who knows? But good to see, at least, that we are getting a lot more of these because I need the monies, to say the least. This one choppy too, hard red candles, long traps, short traps. You just got to be careful. You can't be long or short. You just got to be, I'm here to make money, essentially. That's all it is. Some other tickers. Last one, this is GRVI. This one kind of popped up as a morning dumper, and I was hesitant to get short around this point because it wasn't the biggest percentage move. It did have a 10% opportunity here at this point, but then just forget it. Short squeeze here and closed way higher than those pre-market highs. That's why I stay focused on just taking a little tiny slice out of these shorts and just absolutely running away. Don't get married to these. Don't get greedy in anything. This is a great representation of that. Not the hugest dollar volume, not the most awesome potential of a trade, but 10% blocks are there, and that's what I look for. That is all I got today. Good to see that the market's heating back up a little bit, and maybe that's because SPY's dropping down a little bit. Not that we're producing a huge amount of volume. It's 430 volume in the first minute, and today's volume, 90 million. We did have the two previous days to this one were pretty high volume as well. So maybe that's a little bit of a tell that some selling was coming in, and that's something I can prepare for the future, but I really don't want to waste capital or mental capital on these speculative short trades. We could see the full down move coming into effect today, that this is the trend change on SPY. Who knows? But I'm still certainly long, and I'm still certainly excited that we're getting these slow, boring months, these just head-banging months that were useful for me as a trader because they are getting me. They certainly didn't get me out today for what I did on VRPX. They're getting me out of that cheating the system or just getting lucky. All of these big movers, just if it's green, buy it. It'll go up more because that's just how they worked in 2020, and that's what I got away with a lot of times, and I have to force myself that I can't do that. And if I want to do that and I think it's just going to be a huge speculative crazy mover and play the super small position size, then I'll have to do that on a longer time frame. I can't just try to chase it right away in the morning. I am handcuffing myself. Can't do that anymore. So excited. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you guys on the next one.